What's up, dudes? Lady dudes, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today I'm going to be keeping it a little quieter today, so you might have to bump the volume up to make up for it. But the reason is I'm doing this video really late / early in the morning because we got some pretty insane cards announced and I couldn't contain it. I couldn't wait till the morning when I saw them, so I'm just doing the video now and knocking it out right freaking now. Anyway, we have a Speedroid monster. We have the first two cards of the Spellcaster structure deck. We have 9 more Evil Eye monsters, 1 Witchcraft monster, and 2 Infinite Ignition monsters. That's a whole lot of mumbo jumbo, so I think I just want to jump right into it and get started because we got 14 cards to bang through real quick. So I'm going to go in order of hype. So the first card here is High Speedroid Kite, or High Speedroid Kit Drake. Pretty cool card, level 8 wind machine synchro. It's a Speedroid card. It's a Speedroid boss monster apparently. 3000 attack, 2800 defense. Materials, it takes 1 wind, machine tuner, 1 plus non-tuner monsters. First, both those effects are hard ones per turns. If this card is synchro summoned, you can activate one of these effects, destroy all other cards on the field, or negate the effects of all face-up cards your opponent controls. Pretty damn good. I mean, just with no battle restriction, you can just Exciton Knight the entire field on summon. That's pretty crazy. Or you can just negate everything on the field. It's kind of like a Ice Beast Zero Fin kind of effect. If like destroying isn't good or some stuff has protection or whatnot, negating may be better. If this card is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, card period, so it can't be destroyed by battle or just send any card effect, add a Speedroid monster from your deck to your hand. This card seems pretty good to me. If you can extend into it, this card can straight up be a win condition. Just wipe a board and OTK that turn. I think this card's pretty cool. I don't know if Speedroids have a card quite like this, anything in their arsenal that's quite as offensively powerful as this, but if they don't, this is a pretty nice piece. A lot of decks probably wish they had a deck that could just wipe a board on summon with no battle restrictions for the turn. So yeah, this card's pretty cool. Anyway, we're gonna move on to the first Infinite Ignition monster. It's a Link 1, surprising enough. It's called Infinite Ignition Goliath. It's a Link 1 Earth Machine Link effect monster with 1000 attack and a bottom right arrow. It takes 1 Infinite Ignition monster specifically, except for a Link monster. So you can't link up for itself, or if we get other Infinite Ignition links, you can't link big ones into the small one. The first effect's a hard ones per turn, and it says if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you could target 1 Xyz monster you control and attach this card to it as XYZ material. Which is pretty cool. I mean, I don't know exactly which way, and maybe this is a specific mechanic because we only have one other card that got announced here for Infinite Ignition, but it's possible they do something similar to what worked for the new Orcus Xyz monster, where it can be made with any Link monster. So maybe we could have something like that, an Xyz that could be made with Links, and so he gets sent to the graveyard via Link. I guess he has to be sent from field to graveyard, so that doesn't work. So I guess you link up. Maybe there's just certain plays where you try to link him up in a way where you already have an Xyz on the field, and then you just get an extra material. That's probably the way to go there. It's interesting to see he can equip to any Xyz monster, period, which is kind of interesting. It's slightly generic. Maybe generics, engines, Xyz engines could work in here. Anyway, next effect says, well, this card is attached to material. An Xyz monster whose original type is machine gains the following effect. This card cannot be destroyed by effects. So just a quick little destruction effect destruction protection, which is pretty cool. This card's interesting. I mean, like I said, we still only have 2 cards, so it's like impossible to predict the future of the rest of that archetype from there, but cool, interesting. Link 1s are always interesting because they gotta be careful with them. Anyway, next up we have the first 2 cards from the new structure deck coming out, which I was very excited for because I love the Magicians, I love Endymion, but it just kind of didn't really work. Or I guess like the archetype's so old now with spell counters and stuff that it doesn't really work. But we have a Pendulum Endymion. We have Endymion, the Founding Sorcerer Supreme. He's a level 7 Dark Spellcaster Pendulum monster, 2900 attack, 1700 defense, with an 8 scale, big scale. That's nice to see. A lot of times when you see boss monsters, they don't give them good scales. They have like those weird, awkward in-between scales, but this one's nice, has a nice 8 scale. Alright, Pendulum Effect. You can only use his Pendulum Effect once per turn. You can remove 6 spell counters. It's a lot. From your field to special summon this card from the Pendulum Zone. Okay. Then destroy cards on the field up to the number of cards you control that you can place spell counters on, and for each card destroyed, place a spell counter on this card. Okay, so that's a lot going on. So if you can load up your field with spell counters, you can special summon him, then destroy as many cards as possible as cards that can have spell counters on them. So him, at least one, plus it depends on what your field looks like, so at least one, and then he gets counters after that, up to the number that you destroyed. Pretty crazy. That could be a very, very powerful card, a very good comeback card if you are kind of back, but you are able to keep counters on the field. You can't just activate this and proceed to win. Straight up. Just wipe a board and attack for game. And he also has 3 monster effects, so get ready for these. First effect says, once per turn when the effect of a spell or trap is activated, you can return one card that has spell counters placed on it to the hand, negate that effect, and if you do, destroy that card. Then place the spell counters that were on that card on this card. The one thing that's interesting is that this card doesn't restrict itself for being bounced, so if you do special summon itself with the Pendulum Effect, I believe you can just bounce it with its own monster effect to negate a spell or trap. You can't place spell counters on this card, but you can bounce this card to negate, so you don't need to rely on the other stuff, which is nice. You don't want to see cards that are too reliant on other cards, because it just makes combos a little less reachable. But nice. Second effect says, this card with spell counters placed on it cannot be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effect. So target and destruction protection. So the only way to out it if it has a spell counter is by non-targeting, non-destruction card effects, or by battle, or tributing, or like other means. Wow, it's pretty good protection. And then when this card of spell counter is placed on is destroyed by battle, specifically only battle, you can add 1 normal spell from your deck to your hand. Wow. Okay, there's a lot going on. This card seems pretty solid overall. I mean, the problem is it feels like the best thing for this card is like you're probably going to need to set up the 6 spell counters. Like that's the best way to use this. The highest ceiling for this card is using that Pendulum Effect to summon it. But even outside of that, if you can just put spell counters on it another way, then you just have like straight up negates. If you have other monsters that have spell counters on them, those are just straight up like spell and trap negates with this guy. Because you just bounce them to the hand to negate something. You don't actually lose your resource like your opponent does. So yeah, this card seems pretty dang strong. Then we also have Daybreaker, the Splendid Magical Knight. It's a Link 2 light spellcaster monster. 1600 attack with the bottom left and bottom right arrows, so nice classic arrows. His materials are any 2 spellcasters, so that's interesting. They're pretty generic like that. And his second and fourth effects are hard once returns, so he's 4 different effects. It's crazy. Love his design. It looks really cool. He looks like Breaker. First effect says, if this card is link summon, activate this effect, put 1 spell counter on this card. Cool, good start. Get a free spell counter. Nice. If a spellcaster is special summoned to a monster zone this card points to, activate this effect and place 1 spell counter on this card. So that's one of the hard ones per turns, but it gets you, hopefully if you're summoning him, you're probably planning on doing that to get a second counter. So assuming you're getting 2 counters on this guy every time. Third effect says this card gains 300 for each spell counter on him, so on summon he's 19. Once per turn, if you summon a spellcaster to his zone, he's 22. Pretty big. I like that. And then the fourth effect says you can remove 2 spell counters from this card, then target 1 card on the field and destroy it. So it's targeting destruction, but it is just, as long as you have the spell counters to do it, you are a go, which is pretty cool. So don't sleep on that for sure. I'm into it. Keep in mind we still have like Master Cerberus and Jackal King that probably work with these, using spell counters and whatnot. especially with the pendulum effects. But this guy's interesting just because he's generically any spellcasters can make him. Watch out for him being just like a nice stepping stone piece that can remove and get big for any spellcaster archetype. Anyway, for the big news, we have all the evil eye cards right here. This is where the stuff gets crazy. So the first card right here is Medusa, the Watcher of the Evil Eye. Level 4 Dark Fiend. Attack 14, defense 16. You can only use the second effect of this card once per turn. First effect says, when this card is normal summoned, you can target an evil eye card in your graveyard and add it to your hand. Okay, so instead of searching from deck to hand, it searches graveyard to hand. Not bad, but because they're all hard once per turns, if you can get this one on the field with like Zeraziel or Serziel, I think is his name, you can search twice. It's kind of like Magical Musketeers in that way. Second effect says, if this card is equipped with Selene, the Evil Eye of Selene, quick effect. You can target one monster in your opponent's graveyard and banish it. So this card becomes like a walking DD Crow, which is pretty nice. I mean, we see that DD Crow has actually seen a little bit of play in fairly recent formats, and especially one that's walking can be pretty nice. If you go first, set this up. As your opponent goes through their play, you just banish a card from grave. Can really hurt them for being able to extend. Pretty cool. And the third effect says, once per turn during the next standby phase after this card's second effect was activated, so that banishing quick effect, you have to banish one card in your own graveyard. So that's like the drawback. They all seem to have that. If you use their good quick effect, you have to do the same thing to yourself, whatever you did to your opponent on the next turn. So keep that in mind. That can definitely come back to hit people hard. But yeah. Alright, we also have a card, Bagelius, Retainer of the Evil Eye, is a level 3 Dark Fiend effect monster. 400 attack, 2000 defense. Really interesting design, pretty badass looking. You can only special summon a card with this card's name with its first effect once per turn. You can only activate the second card once per turn, so both hard once per turns. If you control an Evil Eye monster, special summon this card from the hand. Nice, I like that. So you can just search him for free and just get an extra monster on the field. That's nice because we only saw Link 3 get revealed so far, and so far we haven't seen much board spam ability, and this is the first card like that, so that's nice to see. Options there. Pretty cool card, I like that. But he does rely on having an Evil Eye monster on the field, so keep that in mind. During your main phase, you can send one Evil Eye spell and trap from the deck to the graveyard. Right, just foolish one. That's interesting. Not too sure how good that is. I guess that's good with her to get it back from grave turn 1, if you can do that. Very cool. Alright, then we have Pareidolia, Domain of the Evil Eye. It's a field spell. You can only activate this card once per turn. Nice. Especially because when this card is activated, add an Evil Eye monster from deck to hand. If there's one thing we know, archetypes that have field spells that search, whether they're once per turn or not, have a very good chance of being competitively relevant. We see Trickstars, that's not even a once per turn, but that's one of the reasons why they're so good. We see Subtears in the OCG with their field spell that searches hard once per turn. That's good. We see Prank Kids with a huge consistency buff from their field spell is competitively relevant. Like just literally every archetype that has a field spell that searches has almost been competitively relevant, so that bodes well for this deck. Second effect says, once per turn, while you control Evil Eye of Selene in a spell at trap zone, when an Evil Eye monster you control is attacked, during damage calculation, activate this effect. Damage you take from this battle is also inflicted to your opponent. Nothing crazy there, but it can be nice for sure that your monsters are kind of weak. So they should know if your opponent is going to get over them via the battle phase, they're going to have to eat some life points at the end of it. Or as well, whatever you eat as well. So that's kind of nice. But 3, if this card in a field zone is destroyed by an effect, you can target one Evil Eye monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand. That is really nice, especially with your main monster that searches. It literally forces you to pop something on your next standby phase. You could just pop this, get a monster back, it could be himself, and search another one, which is really, really cool. I like that a lot. That's really nice. That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see cards that could help take advantage of having to hit yourself with your own effects at the end on your next turn. That's really, really cool. And we see Forbidden Awakening of the Evil Eye. It's a normal spell card. You can only activate a card with this card's name once per turn. Special summon an Evil Eye monster from your hand or graveyard. Straight up. Okay, so you have like a searchable monster reborn slash... I don't know, what's a special from hand card? That light monster one. Whatever. It's not that important. If Evil Eye of Selene is in your spell and trap zone, you can special summon one Evil Eye monster from your deck instead. That is dope. So that's what they mean. Okay, this is where we're seeing kind of the Sky Striker-esqueness of this deck, where in Sky Strikers you need to have 3 or more spells engraved, but in this deck you just need to have Eye of Selene on the field. And you get one effect, but it gets a little better if you have Eye of Selene. Same thing with Sky Strikers. So this is pretty nice. Instead of just being a monster reborn, it actually becomes just a straight up like Zodiac Barrage almost esque effect, just special summoning any Evil Eye straight from the deck. Pretty cool card. You definitely run this. You will definitely run this in the deck. Then we have Curse of the Evil Eye, a quick play spell. You can only activate a card like this once per turn. You're going to see a lot of once per turns in an archetype like this. A lot of too many good effects. If you control an Evil Eye monster, target one spell or trap your opponent controls and destroy it. If you control Evil Eye of Selene in your spell and trap zone, the card destroyed by this effect is banished instead of being sent to the graveyard. It's nice spot removal. It is a quick play, so you can't set it if you do draw it, so that can be nice. As long as you have an Evil Eye, you can just snipe back after your opponent sets it, or certain cards, but it does banish, and that's kind of nice, because there are some cards, if you play against Trickstars and you hit the reincarnation's just gone, so they don't get that extra advantage. That's pretty nice. I think it's cool. I think maybe you play one as spot removal. I mean, we saw Skysters phase out jamming waves, but it's also because they had afterburners, where if they were able to put the 3 spells in, afterburners kind of did both. But I don't know if we have a card like that here, so maybe this is a one of you play, just because it's super searchable. Then we have Watchful Rule of the Evil Eye continuous spell card. You can only activate one card with this card's name once per turn. You can also banish one Evil Eye card from your graveyard to activate this card. If you do so, draw one card. Whoa. So you can either just activate it if you want, or pretty much on activation or to activate it, you can just banish an Evil Eye card from your graveyard as well, just to draw an extra card. That's dope that this card is just on activation, possibly draw a card. You can just have a dead Evil Eye card in your graveyard and then just get a free draw off of it. That's pretty cool. Once per turn, when an Evil Eye monster equipped with Evil Eye of Selene attacks during damage calculation, activate this effect and banish that opponent's monster. It is during damage calculation, so I don't believe that voids the outcome of the battle. So if you are smaller, you'll still die or whatever, so keep that in mind. But that could be still pretty good, getting over big stuff this way. Also gives you a free draw and activation. That's pretty cool. If this card in the spell and trap zone is destroyed by an effect, nice. Target 3 of your banished Evil Eye cards and return those to the graveyard. It doesn't go back to the deck, but they do go back to the graveyard. So it is something for being forced to pop it, and is a continuous, so it should be up on the field by the next time it comes back around. Interesting. Alright, then we come to 3 trap cards. Alright, Adobe, calm it down. We have Jealous Disruption of the Evil Eye as a normal trap. You can activate this card, or any cards with this card name, once per turn. If you control an Evil Eye monster, you can target one monster on the field and return it to the hand. If Evil Eye of Selene is in your spell and trap zone, you can target 2 cards with this card's effect instead. Yeah, this is classic, like Sky Striker-esque card. Pretty nice little disruption. You can just bounce 2. I'm into it. It's better than Destruction, so it's kind of like a better Icarus attack. You don't have to tribute anything for it. You just need to have an Evil Eye monster. I like it. I think it's just solid. It's just searchable. You probably play a one of, and then if you can do it in your main combo, you just search it. And we also have Death Control of the Evil Eye, continuous trap card. You can only activate a card with this card's name once per turn. When your opponent special summons a monster in attack position, if you control an Evil Eye monster with higher attack than that monster, you can target that monster to activate this card. Take control of that monster. Period. No other anything. If you control evil eye to leave your spell in trap zone, it is also treated as an evil eye monster. When that monster leaves the field, destroy this card. That's so busted. I mean, it's not so busted, but anything that's weaker, and they're not huge, but if you have the link's kind of big, your opponent's probably going to have to summon something weaker than it. That's crazy. This card's kind of crazy to me. Going first, this card's really strong. Just steal a card. Damn. Alright, and then the last card we have here is Sentence of the Evil Eye, which is a counter trap. You can only activate it once per turn. When a spell or trap is activated while you control an Evil Eye monster, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. If you control Evil Eye, select your spell or trap card zone. This card, its activation and effect cannot be negated. Clean. You can't negate monster effects. It's only spells and traps, but still another solid layer of disruption going first. I like it. I like it a lot. Super searchable. Everything pretty much in the archetype seems fairly searchable. Evil Eye, Evil Eye, Evil Eye, Evil Eye. I believe they're all Evil Eyes, even the field spell. So you can search the field spell, I think, with the regular normal summon monster and go off from there. Nice. And we only have 2 more cards here. We have Infinite Ignition, River Storm. The rank 5 Earth Machine Xyz monster, 2500 attack, 500 defense. Takes any 2 level 5 monsters, not even machines. That's kind of weird. You can only use the first and third effects once per turn. You could attach 1 Xyz material from this card. Either add 1 Earth Machine monster from your deck to your hand, or send 1 Earth Machine monster from your deck to the graveyard. Nice. It's weird that it's an engine. You usually don't see Xyz monsters be engines for decks, but this is like an engine card, which is interesting. We'll see. It depends how easy it is to make. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can attach that monster to this card as XYZ material. I like that. That's pretty cool. If you can protect him, keep him on board every turn, just activate his first effect, and just keep replenishing him after you kill something every turn. That's pretty cool. And then if this card is in the graveyard, you contribute 1 machine and link monster to special summon this card in defense mode. That's interesting as well, especially since you have the link 1 Infinite Ignition monster, so you don't really put a ton of resources into the link, but you trade the link for this. Interesting. Okay. Interesting start. Those are just the first 2 cards. It's kind of hard to see where we're going from there, but that's dope. And then we have our 1 Witchcraft monster. I love her design. She's kind of like the classic, like, anime cute girl that still does, like, something kind of manly. She's kind of like the tomboy. She looks like the blacksmith of the guild or whatever. I love it. Witchcraft Schmida. I don't know. That might not be the same name when it comes out in the TCG. But anyway, she's a level 4 fire spellcaster monster. 1800 attack, beat stick level, 600 defense. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name, each once per turn. During either player's main phase, you contribute this card, then discard 1 spell card from your hand. Special summon 1 Witchcraft monster straight from the deck, except for herself. So I know you hear that and you're just like, okay, that's 2 for 1. Not that good. Hold on. You can banish this card from your graveyard to send 1 Witchcraft card from your deck to the graveyard, except for herself. So, pretty much what I'm assuming here is she's the only card we have for the archetype. I am assuming we have 1 Witchcraft monster that gets you a plus on summon. So hopefully if you put in 2, like you send her, you tribute her, and you send 1 Witchcraft or spell card from hand to grave, you can special summon the new one. The new one will hopefully search on summon. That's what I'm hoping and banking on here. Search on summon to replace the spell card you discarded, and then you can banish this card from graveyard to Foolish. So overall, literally just normal summoning this card gets you to a point where, like, literally you replace the 2 cards and you also got to Foolish a card. So it does end up just overall being a Foolish, and that's not a straight up plus, but depending on what the archetype has and how much value you can get from the Witchcrafts being in the grave, that can be more or less a straight up plus to you in the end. So I think this card is really promising so far. we'll see. This seems just like a turbo card to get into like your main Witchcraft monster, which is probably the one on the cover, unless that's like a Link or an Xyz or something. And it's not an Xyz, but probably a Link. So yeah, that's all the cards we got here. I know it took 25 minutes to do them, but there's a lot going on here. 14 different cards, and I wanted to get a good first impression out on them. Guys, let me know what you think. I know Evil Eye was like literally one of the most hyped up decks so far. The deck seems to have a good amount of flow to it so far. We'll see. I mean, it's always so hard when you have all the cards come out at once. Nobody's had enough time to test it. We're all just kind of just looking at them and trying to, theorize how well the deck works, but it seems pretty cool. Also, keep in mind, I'm pretty sure in almost every deck build pack, I'm pretty sure in the last one at least, every archetype had 13 cards in it, like brand new cards in it. That's only 12 so far, so we could get a Link 2 to go with the Link 3 to like get you up into the Link 3. We could get another just card, maybe a main deck boss monster or something, but I believe we might still be missing one card from this archetype, and then literally 12 cards for Witchcrafts and 11 more cards from the Ignitions. And I'm also keeping an eye out for this structure deck, because the structure deck seems pretty interesting so far. We'll see how busted they can make spell counters, or if they plan to at all. Guys, let me know what you think about all these cards. Speedroids too, that's a pretty cool boss monster for Speedroids. Let me know what all this stuff means to you, what you think about it so far, especially if you are specifically hyped for any of these 4 archetypes, 5 archetypes I guess. Let me know, because I'm going to be down in the comments pretty much all day today, or for the next couple days, probably looking at that, and hopefully we get the rest of the Infinity Chaser support coming soon, at least so we know what we're getting and can stop sitting there twiddling our thumbs. But I'm going to stop rambling, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, subscribe for more stuff from me in the future. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Peace.